20th, 27th, April 3rd, and April 8th. The next televised regular council meeting is April 8th, which is April 8th, is that correct? Monday, which begins at 6:30 with public portion at 8 p.m. We may or may not have those budget meetings, so please stand by in case they get delayed. The council met in closed session to discuss the following: A, potential sale of township property; B, personnel; C, contracts; D, New Jersey Route 4 project; E, council meeting schedule; F, municipal redevelopment agency; G, legal issues and opinions opinions regarding any items on the open session agenda; H, litigation updates; and I, Oprah. With that, the beginning of the meeting, we will start with a presentation to our longtime township tax assessor, Jamie Ty. So we have a light attendance today because what people didn't realize is if you come out to celebrate, you 10% off your assessment. So no one apparently everyone loves what they're paying. Keep on. So you've served our town for many, many years, and one of those quiet things behind the scenes, but that affects everyone every single day, and that's the tax assessment. You're the person we get to blame. So I hope the next person that takes your position is just as easy to blame as well. So, and thank you for taking all the blame. Mr. Manager.
James, even though I have only had the privilege of working with you for a few months of your 27 years of service with the township, it has been more than enough time to understand your dedication and the respect you have earned from your colleagues and residents. Always professional, always helpful, and to be honest, you've been a pleasure to work with. When asked about your retirement and the future plans for the next assessor, you always offered your assistance and your honest insight. That says a lot about your character and how much you care. Thank you for always taking the time to explain situations, both simple and complex, and especially going the extra mile when we needed your assistance with the NJDEP matters. Now, as you approach your retirement years, I truly wish you good health, happiness always, and many years of fond memories of a career well served. Best wishes and congratulations again.
Sure. Read it. Okay, the Township Council and Teaneck community thank you for a dedicated 27 years of service. Teaneck will miss you, but congratulates you on a job well done. Happy retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And you can go if you want, or you can stay. It's exciting.
I just want to say it's been a privilege working for the Township of Teaneck for all these years. It's also been a challenge at times. Right now, we're in a period of relative stability. I feel like we're leaving the town in a good place. The recently completed revaluation is still relatively strong.
That was your third, right?
I'm sorry?
That was your third?
That was the third revaluation, yes. When I originally came here, they hadn't done one in 20 years, so that was the first, and it was after some disastrous attempts in Bergenfield, et cetera. So we managed to weather that storm pretty well. Yes, we up to the third one now. I always said when I started here, I thought I'd put in 5 years and then move on to the next thing, and 27 years later, I'm finally leaving. But
Mr. Mayor,
where the time went.
Mr. Mayor, if I could say one thing real quick. Mr. Ty, you started with us, I think, in 1998, and you're one of the last full-time assessors in Bergen County, and you've helped so many people over the years, so many people, including my family. And so I just want to publicly say thank you for all your years of dedicated service to the township, and thank you for helping so many residents over the years. And we wish you the very best of luck in your retirement. And if there's ever anything we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
And thank you for staying with us through this last one. I know you could have not. And we wish you the best of luck in your future. Enjoy what the next few years hold for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I also wanted to
good
say
luck. I'm sorry. Good luck in your retirement, and thank you for always being available to answer questions from our residents as it pertain to the revaluation and all the the uncertainty and so forth. It meant a lot to, to residents to have your know-how and knowledge, and best of luck in your
Thank you.
future.
They didn't always get the answer they wanted, but it was the answer they needed.
I also wanted to say thank you for your 27 years of service to this town. I know our residents can be quite demanding, and so I'm really impressed that you stuck it out this long. And I also just want to call out, before I was on council, I think before I was even involved in public service, I had called one day and I was so shocked that you picked up the phone. I was just, coming from Brooklyn, I didn't think that you could call up and get the assessor right on one phone call, and you were so helpful and answered all my questions. And I really appreciate the level of service that you bring to our residents. So thank you for that.
And what's crazy, and you and I were just talking about, is I remember the day you were hired. It was in Gary Sage's office over here. And the manager, Jack, you just mentioned about you being professional and helpful, and I agree with that. But I think what's most important about your personality is your temperament. You really make people feel comfortable. At the end of the day, taxes, what everyone talks about and everyone's concerned about, their property values, and they go to you. And I'm sure you've gotten some very strong phone calls over the years, and your temperament really makes people feel comfortable and confident that what's being done is being done fairly and equitably across the board to the entire neighborhood. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, miscellaneous. Old business, new business. Mr. Clerk, do we have anything on new business? I guess no. What-
Yes.
Yeah, we'll wait for him to get back. We'll jump right back to new business. Communications. Okay. Maybe Doug's, we're gonna wait for him to, yes, maybe he left. Community reports by council liaison, transparency task force minutes, February 28th. Sure, is this gonna be, jump into council list items as well? Is that the same as number one?
Well, I can speak to the task force if
Okay.
you'd like me to.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Great. So, and this kind of ties into the Chamber of Commerce. In our last meeting, we had some great discussion about the fact that next year, not too long from now, we will have the World Cup right here in our backyard. And so, Mr. Mayor, one of the things I'd like to recommend is that we create a simple task force.
Oh,
Okay.
Not for the,
Okay,
different task force, sorry.
Okay.
But while on that subject, let's just jump back to the clerk.
I
first.
thought it was new.
Mr. Clerk,
business.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's right.
Apologies, all apologies. We're just jumping
No.
back to new business because we just have a couple pieces of business that we have to walk in this evening. And the first bit is we have a part-time municipal court judge with us, Mr. Seth Dombeck, according to Resolution 112-2024. His term expires March 12th, 2025. And we were considering extending his appointment for 90 days while the township solicits applications and resumes from potential replacements. And what we'll do is just extend the agreement within Resolution 112-2024. If there's a motion and a motion and a second on the floor, I will take a roll call.
So moved.
Second, Schwartz.
Thank you so much. We have Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
We have Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Seth Dombeck is extended to 90 days. We had and this is Resolution 111-2025. That's for the record for myself and the clerk's office. And then we
Mr.
have,
Clerk, you'll advise him?
yes, absolutely. I'll be in touch with the municipal court and Mr. Dombeck. And we also have another resolution here to walk on to the consent agenda. Do you want to talk about it at all, Mr. Salmon, or would you prefer I just read it into the record?
You could just read it into the record.
Okay, this is a resolution, council awarding professional services contract to Saraceni Hollenbeck LLC.
Sorry to be clear, Scorinci Hollenbeck, sorry.
Say that again?
Scorinci Hollenbeck, just want to be clear.
Scorinci
Yeah.
Hollenbeck LLC. Thank you. For special counsel legal services, bear with us. Whereas the township of Teaneck, the township is seeking to retain professional legal services for special counsel to the township for the purposes of providing independent legal guidance on issues of importance to the township. Whereas the local public contracts law authorizes the award of a professional services contract for such services without competitive bidding by reason that such services constitute professional services, which are services rendered or performed by a person authorized by law to practice a recognized profession, whose practice is regulated by law, and the performance of which services requires knowledge of an advanced type in a field of learning acquired by a prolonged formal course, a specialized instruction and study as distinguished from general academic instruction or apprenticeship. And whereas Donald Scarinci, Esquire of the law firm, has agreed to provide the above described services at an hourly rate of $175 per hour. And whereas the Township Council finds that a contract for such professional legal services should be awarded based on their experience, expertise, and scope of services offered. And whereas the fees expended, all for these services shall not exceed $17,500 without prior authorization of the Township Council. And whereas the authorization for these services shall be subject to the Township Manager's approval and the CFO certifying that there are available sufficient uncommitted appropriations to provide for the payment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township is authorized to enter into a contract with the aforementioned to engage in professional legal services as described above. The term of the contract will be from March 11th through December 31, 2025. The contract is awarded pursuant to the non-fair and open process under the local public contracts law. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract in a form acceptable to the township attorney based upon the fees set forth above. The business entity disclosure certification determination of value is to be placed within the resolution, and this resolution shall be placed in the township's official newspaper as required by law within 10 days of passage.
So moved.
So this is to add to the consent agenda. I think that was from Councilwoman Goldberg.
Second, Schwartz.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Added consent agenda as 112-2025.
Yes, Councilwoman?
I also want to walk on an item for the consent agenda.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate, to appoint Cassandra Reyes as the Board of Ed liaison member to the Teaneck Municipal Alliance Against Substance Abuse
Second.
Board with a term of 1/1/25 to 12/31/26.
And there's a meeting coming up, correct? Is that what it is?
There should be a meeting the first quarter of the
Okay,
year.
thank you. So that's seconded by,
Ellie Whitecats.
That was a second.
roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure we started to talk about it before, so the transparency,
Is on you now. Sorry.
Right,
Oh,
so we
Mr.
met
Clerk, we're
before.
done?
Yes,
We're done. Councilwoman Goldberg, the floor is yours.
great. So we met this week. All of the minutes are there, and I think the clerk put them on the website, so thank you very much for that.
Mhm.
The task force essentially was okay with everything that was in the resolution. We just clarified that the meetings, the public meetings would be held by Zoom, and that I believe Deputy Mayor Belcher spoke to the manager to ensure that that there would be a staff member if needed for minutes. And other than that, the task force was okay with the rest of the language. So I would like to move this to the consent agenda.
I'll second that. Good job. Thank you. Good job, task force.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
All right, added 113.
Okay, now on council list of items, so we skip now that number one, it's the same thing, Councilwoman Goldberg, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, back to you in the World Cup. Please go ahead.
Okay, so,
Deputy Mayor.
just as kind of my report also from the Chamber of Commerce and the business community in general, and that is there's a lot that is happening from a county and a state perspective as pertains to the World Cup. And so I would like to make a motion that we form a simple task force so that we can be apprised and informed and can inform our residents and community businesses as well as to the status of the World Cup.
Can I just ask what the, like, what's the goal? Like, what are you going to do on it? I'm just curious.
Okay, certainly. So it is right now, like the Meadowlands Regional Chamber of Commerce is doing quite quite a bit to prepare for the World Cup. So the recommendation is that we form our own task force so that we can essentially be apprised and stay informed as it pertains to preparations for the World Cup. So that's what the task force will do.
Okay,
The motion
is
is on
there,
the floor.
is
Any
that a
discussion?
motion and a second?
Yeah, I so move
And there's a desire of anyone to serve on that?
myself. Mhm.
I'll serve if nobody
That's
wants.
all right. We have our three people. So we have, it's going to be Deputy Mayor Belcher, Councilman Goldberg, and Councilman Pagan on a World Cup task force, which also starts this year with a World Club Cup as well.
Yes.
Excellent.
So just some information, Mayor Schwartz and I were speaking to the police chief yesterday, and the county did have a meeting with them, I think, this week, and there is a lot of preparation that's going to go into this. It may be worth meeting with him and hearing what they already, it seems like it's going to be very overwhelming for everybody here, especially Teaneck with the Glen Point.
Yes.
The teams are going to be staying there, so
Absolutely.
good luck to them.
Thank you.
And sorry, I did jump on the committee reports. Is there any other committee reports? And I'll go with Cedar Lane, the Cedar Lane Management Group monthly meeting is tomorrow night, 6:30 with dinner. If anyone would like to stop by, it's also a public meeting, good food, coming by. Anybody else? Any other meeting, committee reports? Okay, Township Managers Report.
Do we have to make a motion? I mean, do we have to vote on the motion that was?
Oh, is there, we did.
Is there, I mean, do we have to move on
task
that or
force,
on the
we did.
task force? Is it necessary?
I think I
I
skipped-
think
Yeah, I
we should
missed-
just the formal.
Yeah, I think we
Yes,
skipped the
that's
roll
fine.
call. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
on me.
Mhm.
Please call the roll on that.
Apologies, and that was, I believe, a motion from,
Myself?
yes,
It's
Second.
seconded by Mayor
seconded by
Pagan.
Councilman Pagan. Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Form.
Okay, Mrs. Manager, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council and township residents. As an update for our compost pilot program, our community interest has been overwhelming that we have now reached our max of 75 households. Our pilot program will begin on April 27th at our cleanup day. The Environmental Commission will be distributing compost buckets and liners to the first 75 households that have signed up. We will also monitor the wait list and update all residents on how we will proceed after the 6-month pilot program is complete. Thank you to everyone for your participation as we look forward to a successful composting program for the Teaneck community. Regarding last week's meetings, discussions about Farside bus stops, the Teaneck Police Department met with NJ Transit supervisors and field representatives to further discuss the relocation of Farside bus stops on West Englewood Avenue. Specifically discussed was a statement that NJDOT indicated that moving the bus stops was warranted in accordance with NJDOT safety guidelines. There is no data or information that supports this conclusion. NJDOT states that relocating these bus stops is a preference and decided by convenience and what is less bothersome to local residents. In addition, the PD asked New Jersey Transit if there are any current safety concerns on West Englewood Avenue. There are not to date. These bus stops have been in place since 2011, and there are no concerns. At this time, we see no benefit to relocation, but we will revisit this if needed. Our pedestrian safety campaign results from mid-January to mid-February are as follows. 1,267 moving violations, 306 of these were pedestrian safety related. 39 crosswalk parking summonses were also issued. Our next campaign will be targeted enforcement against negligent and erratic driving to increase compliance and knowledge. Thank you to the Teaneck Police Department for your continued efforts on pedestrian safety. The Motor Vehicle Commission mobile unit will be on site at Township Hall on August 18. Online appointments will be available 30 days prior for residents sign up, and I will be sure to remind everyone. The Teaneck Pool continues with on-site renovations in preparation for our open house mid-May, and our grand opening will be Memorial Day weekend. A flyer will be posted in the near future with our fee schedule along with registration dates at the Rhoda Center. Some grant updates I have for you tonight. The township has been awarded a grant in the amount of $20,000 from NJDEP for the development of a tree inventory community forestry management plan. We also have been awarded $1,000 for tree ID tags along with signage from the Bergen County Audubon Society. For our project updates, Herrick Park improvements have resumed with playground and splash pad progress of concrete pouring, fencing, grading, and topsoil. Bike Lane, the project is officially out to bid along with Argonne Park tennis courts, and both of these will be scheduled for March 25th. Palisade Ave improvements does have a change order on tonight's agenda, and that is for a collapsed storm water drain. This repair was required during the project. 2024 roadway resurfacing program, final design is in progress, and the list of streets that will be paved this year will be on our project status tab on our township website. Andreas Park Pickleball Courts construction officially began today. The Belle Ave Drainage Project is progressing with the lease agreement, diversion permit, and compensation proposal. Design work for their detention system is scheduled to be finished by the end of this month, and a neighborhood meeting is going to be scheduled to discuss the final design. The pedestrian bridge over CSX, we are awaiting an agreement between CSX and the township for design review and construction activities. A friendly reminder to please sign up for our township alerts on the front page of our website. That's all I have for you, Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mr. Attorney.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Do you want to read it first, or can I make a motion to pull the fence ordinance number 3? There's some language that the attorney is looking with as it relates to surveys and permits and required the outlay by residents on the actual survey.
If you wish to table one, you can
Yes.
do that now.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to table.
I'll second.
Thank you. Table ordinance 3. Okay. Roll call, please.
Do you have a date?
Wait, Mr. Mayor, I have a request. Last time, I believe, Councilmember Katz and I were discussing about amending it a little bit to grandfather in residents, and that wasn't added. Can we do that? Do we have to vote it down and then change it? Like, is that, like, I don't know,
Makes
can we
sense.
do that?
So
Whatever-
you
what's the
don't,
proper way
you
to
don't
do it?
need to vote it down. What would happen is if I'm going to look at some of these issues related to surveys, I can look at the grandfathering as well. And if the council decides to amend it, essentially we'll be reintroducing it as a new thing. So we don't need to, I mean, yes, you could vote it down if you want, but you don't have to
That work?
for us to introduce it.
All right, I just want to make sure that we're grandfathering
Excellent.
people.
Understand.
Yep, I'm with
Okay.
you.
You want to table until the April meeting?
May 23rd.
May 23rd.
Why? What is that? Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Into the May meeting. May meeting? May meeting.
May council meeting?
Yes.
All right, cool. That was a second from Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan, Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Cool,
Okay.
table to the main.
Okay. Anybody in the public like to speak on behalf of any other ordinances? Anybody on Zoom? Oh, sorry. Oh, you gonna read first or read
I
first?
need to read
Okay.
it. No, it's all good. It's all good. Sorry, one second. We are all over the place tonight, folks. I'm sorry. Give us one second. Few ordinances. Ordinance 3 is tabled. Ordinance number 14-2025, adopting a redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of block 5004, lot 4.01, 100 State Street, as shown on the tax map of the township of Teaneck, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law. We have ordinance number 15-2025, adopting an amendment redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of block 5004, lot 1, 140 State Street, as shown on the tax map of the township of Teaneck, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law. Last but not least, we have ordinance number 16-2025, amending the township code to revise recreation fees.
Hey, good night to the council. I just want to talk about 14 and 15. So is it possible for 100 and 144 State Street to have solar panels integrated to them to at least offset their own electricity use? And since it'll be a low traffic building, it might as well do some carbon offsets. And another thing they should probably look into is a rainwater recollection and harvesting system, right? If it's just going to sit there as a storage building, it might as well try to reuse and help flow water back into the grid. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Philip Yucht, Teaneck resident. So you heard from me last time I was here. I think it was 2 meetings back. It's probably too late for this, but I'm going to just say it anyway, just to put it on the record, that I think a storage facility is poor use of that property, given our situation with housing. And I looked at the rendering in the online in today's agenda, and it doesn't look like an apartment building. It looks like a storage facility. And there are storage facilities all around us. I don't understand how we got to this point. I think it's a mistake. But you'll vote how you vote. But I have to express how I feel about that. In terms of the building at the corner, the apartment building that's being proposed, personal opinion, I don't like the design. I don't think we don't have design standards in town. We should have design standards in town. I know that that's something that's being worked on. Can that be held off until we have design standards in place so that it can be built the way based on what the design standards for our town will be? So that's my other comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rose?
Good evening, Howard Rose, Teaneck resident. Regarding State Street, and especially the storage unit, I think what's very appropriate are the first 14 words to a song that predates almost everyone in this room. And it's a song called I'm Not a Juvenile Delinquent by Frankie Lyman from 1957. And the first 14 words are no, 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 no. And I think that's very appropriate regarding what you're proposing for State Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Anybody else? See no other hands? Hearing's closed. Oh, you said there's no one's. Sorry.
We're bringing in Gail. You have 3 minutes whenever you're ready, Gail. Hi, Gail, you're muted.
Yeah, I just want to express my support for the previous 2 speakers who spoke against the storage facility. I don't think that's, really what we asked for in the master plan. And also, we need to look at these things as holistic, like how does this fit into the other parts of the town that are adjacent to it? And I don't see it. And there are lots and lots of storage facilities around the area. And it's just, again, it's in the Northeast area and it's near my community. And I don't feel that it's needed. There are facilities nearby. There's not enough housing nearby. That's all.
We have Keith Kaplan.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just want to say that, one, these are private properties, and Mr. Rose, as a store owner, would know anyone can bid to go and purchase them, and this one especially was doing absolutely nothing but being an eyesore for quite a while. I understand what the residents that spoke are talking about. They want certain things from properties, but they have the ability to go and make that happen. They can band together, they can purchase the property, they can make it a park, they can donate it to the Meadowlands Trust for, in memoriam. They can do what they wish with any property they own, and they can purchase 100 State Street the same way as anybody else. In fact, right now, if they want to make a bid that's better than the other store, I'm guessing the owner would sell it to them on the spot. But they don't want to purchase it. They want government to limit what you can do with your own property. I was on the town council and I had a choice about making design standards. And I think the people that spoke would be very happy they didn't, because they would be stuck with what I thought was a good design standard. And I guarantee you, my thoughts are going to be different than someone else's. Places constantly change. In fact, if you read this month's Atlantic about the lack of movement across this country, you'll find that the fact that people stay much longer in a single location has led to lower wages. It's led to all kinds of problems. And that starts with codes, and it starts with zoning, and it starts with design standards. People that move in will change things. That's part of life. People that used to be here for a very long time will not like the new things that come in. That's part of life too. It's okay that no, 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 no is your personal mantra. It's not okay when it's codified as the law and I can't do with my property what I wish. For the record, I do not want that location to be a place that people are going to bring stuff. But I also didn't want to buy it. So my comment stops there. If I felt like buying it, it could have been whatever I wanted it to be. And I suggest the next time you see a place, and look, this location was empty for decades. If you see a place that right now is empty for decades, start beating the drum, start getting people together, buy the property, make it whatever you want. And that is the way to create a design standard that you like. You own it, you design it, that'll be the standard for forever. And I think we need to understand that people have different tastes, and that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Bringing in Chuck Powers.
okay. All right.
Good evening. I would very much like to draw the attention of the council to the fact that this particular piece of property is not like every other privately owned property in town. And in fact, we have standards that we impose all the time when we decide to develop something. What is surprising to me is that there is no so far as I know, no publication, release, or in any other way consideration of the fact that the planning board at its most recent meeting did what it is required to do, which is to test whether or not these two redevelopment plans are in fact consistent with the master plan. They eventually ended up saying that, yes, they were in fact consistent. But what they very clearly said about each of them were that there were comments that they thought that council should respond to before simply moving ahead with the approval of this ordinance tonight. So far as I know, I have no idea whether or not those comments have actually, as they should have done, reached this council, and what in fact the council's response to them is, because under the state law, council may go ahead and ignore whatever it is that the planning board says. In fact, they can do so about whether it's consistent or not, but they are required to provide a response to whatever it is the planning board said. We have neither what it was that the planning board ended up saying and what was communicated to the council, nor do we have at this point any idea what council's response was before it actually moves toward voting on these ordinances. Getting these issues correct and lined up properly is something we are having enormous trouble with in this town, but we certainly need to have the council meet its state-defined obligation to provide us an understanding of why it is that they think that whatever it was that the planning board said to them about these two redevelopment plans is or is not something that should be incorporated into them. And if they should be, then this ought to be delayed until they are in fact incorporated. Thank you very much.
Anybody else on Zoom? Okay. Yes.
No one else on Zoom, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can
Yes.
Scott address what Dr. Power said
I guess which part?
regarding the planning board recommendations?
Regarding the planning board recommendations. So, I mean, yeah, the council is entitled to accept or reject those. We have to give a reason if we, a reason for why we're rejecting them. If that's what we choose to do, but the council is entitled to do that. We should also note that a number of the concerns or comments that are being made in general, I think are going to be handled at the site plan level. And so they are, or at least can be addressed by the boards, by the applicant. So I just want to be clear that this is not necessarily the end of the process here.
Thank you. And just to clarify, so the developers agreement is voted on by this council after it's written.
Correct.
And the comments, I believe, were forwarded to the attorneys to incorporate into developers agreement.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm just going to respond to the time of no has to stop. Hard stop. These were vacant sites for decades. In a town, in a county, a state, and a nation that needs housing, that needs a town that needs revenue. As it relates to the self-storage, people in this community fought, some of the speakers tonight fought against not having development there. This council voted to wait until the master plan was approved before this was finally approved. People had protests in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot to not have parking there. People didn't want a pilot approved. People wanted presentations to the council in public. Every single one of those steps were taken. And now the time is now to move forward with more housing, move forward with more revenue, smart revenue that'll help the Board of Ed, that'll help the community, that will help affordable housing, and that'll help all the neighborhood with retail as well. And on top of all that, as a bonus, get rid of eyesores. So with that, if there's no one else to speak, I'd like to make a motion. There's no one to speak to approve ordinances 14, 15, and 16 of 2025. And if approved, look forward to seeing the developers agreement back here for votes.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
No on 14, no on 15, and abstain on 16.
Councilman Pagan,
No to all three.
no to all three. Is that what you said? Sorry. Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Adopted.
Okay, public time we've all been waiting for. Public good and welfare. You have 3 minutes to speak. Anyone in public would like to speak? If I'd like, any new residents would like to speak? No. New residents. Okay, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ron Schwartz, Larch Avenue, Teaneck, New Jersey. I want to commend the members of the council who worked on this proposed resolution, bringing transparency to the Teaneck Council subcommittee meetings. I read the proposal, I read the resolution. I find it adequately addresses the public need for transparency that groups like One Town, One Vote have been working for, have been advocating for the last couple of years. It's about time that the council is finally going to open up these subcommittee meetings. I'm very happy that they are going to be open to the public, that the public is going to be given a notice of when these meetings are occurring, the date and the time, the proposed agenda, and that there will be someone there from the township who will be taking minutes, as well as any member of the subcommittee who wants to take minutes as well, and that those minutes will be made available to the Teaneck public within a defined period of time. So congratulations to doing what should have been done a couple of years ago. I'm glad you're finally doing it, and I think this is a win for transparency and democracy in the township of Teaneck. One question I'd like you to answer during the response period. Last meeting, the council started to talk about the creation of a redevelopment agency. I would like to ask on behalf of some residents of Teaneck what the status of that proposal is, and specifically whether the plan is to have a redevelopment agency that also includes members of the various neighborhood associations as to give community input onto that redevelopment agency. Thank you very much. Look forward to your answer.
Yes, Rose?
Howard Rose, Teaneck resident. I find it very ironic that tonight this council, in appointing a part-time judge, gave him 30 days. It sounds like a sentence.
90 days.
90 days, I'm sorry, that's even longer. Yikes. Transparency. 2 words. It's good. I hope that this council is strong enough in its commitment to transparency to pass what is proposed. Thank you.
Good evening. Rich Siegel, 25-year Teaneck homeowner. I brought a friend with me tonight for protection. I'm not even joking. Yusuf is a Palestinian American. I'm a Jewish anti-Zionist. I don't know which one of us is more of a target. I hate speaking here. I've been speaking here a lot because I've been trying to shut down your Israeli real estate events because they're illegal and immoral, and they're supporting ethnic cleansing, which devolved into genocide during the past year and a half. The last time I was here was on February 11th, and I was talking about the disgusting way I've been treated by 3 of the Zionist Jewish members of this council. I went to my seat and I was assaulted. I was assaulted right here in chambers, in your meeting, and you all saw it. Very ironically, after talking about the disgusting way that members of this council have treated me. And it's reminiscent to me of what I see of the IDF and how they put on women's clothing after they have victimized these women. You see, for a year and a half, I saw photos of Israeli soldiers wearing bras and panties and negligees, and it's a sneering. I mean, the fact that this guy felt that he was entitled to jump me, to assault me right here in a meeting. People who know that they're in the right don't act like this. Yeah, you, Mr. Mayor. Copyright violation. Another council member turned her back on me. Another council member said I was a liar. Why? Because I'm a Jewish anti-Zionist. Because I disagree with your ethnic cleansing of Palestine. You think you have the right to just sneer at me and do whatever the hell you want to me and assault me right here in chambers. And the thing of it is that we have people watching this right now who are really glad that it happened and who are congratulating the guy who did it and wish that they could have done it. That's where the Jewish community has gone to. You've become disgusting human beings. I'm one of you. I was raised with your sickness, but you've become worse than I could ever have imagined. Free Palestine.
Amrit Ramjatan, Teaneck resident. So this ties into what I was talking about before. Can the council look into zero net carbon or net zero emissions for new buildings? I have no problems with new development, but as a township, we should look into green initiatives, especially when it comes to building and constructing. There are standards the World Green Building Council and the U.S. Green Building Council recommend. Is this something you already have in a code or something we have to investigate? Now, with regards to the World Cup Task Force, how about a quick suggestion? Maybe something called like a pamphlet, Taste of Teaneck, just to drop something in the hotels or the restaurants that just, these are all the different food places and this is how close they are depending on what hotel or place you're staying at. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Byrne? Anybody else?
My name is Elliot Berman. I'm a lawyer and have lived in Teaneck for almost 30 years. I spoke at a Township Council meeting on March 19th, 2024, and then again 2 weeks ago at the February 25th meeting. Both times I addressed the fact that Teaneck needs to impose content-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions with regard to demonstrations. As I am sure you all recall, the ordinance discussed at the February 25th meeting regarding such content-neutral restrictions could not even muster 4 votes to support its introduction at the next council meeting. This was extremely disappointing. More disappointing was the fact that it appeared at the meeting, both when the proposed ordinance was addressed before Good and Welfare, as well as afterwards, when some council members gave closing remarks, that council members at best were not working in sync to address the problems for which the proposed ordinance was crafted. While there may have been well-meaning questions regarding the ordinance, it appeared that some council members chose not to take advantage of opportunities of raising their concerns before the meeting with the town council or an experienced First Amendment lawyer who provided guidance to the council for free. It appeared, with all due respect, that you have trouble getting along with each other, and that those feelings were interfering in your obligation to resolve the town's problems. I hope that I am wrong. In any event, at the last council meeting, the council did vote to retain an independent constitutional attorney to review the proposed ordinance and provide guidance to the council, which has now occurred. I hope to hear at the end of this meeting, perhaps watching via Zoom, a timeline when the council believes it will be able to pass a content-neutral time, place, and manner ordinance that will help keep the residents safe and restore to them the feeling of being safe. One final note. Dr. Martin Luther King's name was invoked 2 weeks ago as a reason to slow down the process of passage of the proposed content-neutral time, place, and manner ordinance. I believe the quote was, "The only weapon we have is the weapon of protest." That was said by Dr. King, not outside a private residence or outside a house of worship, but inside the Holt Street Baptist Church in Montgomery, where Dr. King was invited to speak before 5,000 people on December 5th, 1955, just 4 days after Mrs. Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to relinquish her seat on a Montgomery city bus. And the protest he advocated was to participate in the Montgomery bus boycott. Frankly, I think if Teaneck was lucky enough to have Dr. King on its council, an ordinance with content-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions to restore safety and the feeling of safety to Teaneck's residents would have passed months ago, 7-0, because Dr. King would force the other council members to work together for the greater good of Teaneck. I implore you to get the job done and pass an ordinance already. It's been too long, and we shouldn't, heaven forbid, have to wait for some catastrophe to spur the council to action in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in chambers? Zoom? Okay, see no further hands. Good and welfare is closed. Councilwoman Goldberg?
I waive my time.
No? Deputy Mayor Jones? Deputy Mayor Jean? Yeah. Okay. Good? Okay, I'm gonna speak a few comments. To the redevelopment agency, yes, we actually had a presentation in closed session tonight, going over the pros and the cons and the of the hiring, if there's hiring involved and whatnot, which is some contractual issues. The redevelopment attorney is going to send out some more memos to the council, and we're going to continue to have the conversation along the lines of what we spoke about, we met about potentially forming a redevelopment agency made up of both council, employees, and public and members of the public. So that's in the process, and it'll continue going on. Interesting. We'll talk a little further about that. You know, everything you mentioned, it's being proposed in New York City for much larger buildings, Amrit, as it relates to the green. Unfortunately, it's pretty costly. Our buildings aren't as big. We also have especially in Teaneck, unlike some towns, a very large affordable housing component, which eats into the numbers as well. So we'll talk about it a little bit further down the line and see where we go with that. But thank you very much for those suggestions. And I think that's what we have. I think I answered everyone's questions. So with that, we'll head into the consent. Oh, sorry. You did say that?
Sorry to interrupt. I just realized with the Tomasa nominations, we tabled the entire group. So we actually need to nominate and appoint all of those members whose terms had expired.
Second.
Can I read the names?
I'm gonna turn it over for is that the proper step, Mr. Attorney? What Councilman G's asking?
Yeah, I think that's an acceptable step that we could do. Yeah,
Okay,
just
so
move it
that I'll
away.
turn it back to you. So so you want to redo the
I want to add a few more names to the
okay,
consent
this is
agenda.
because we did not reappoint anyone on Tomasa. There's a meeting coming up, and the consent agenda add-on was just for the Board of Ed member.
Correct.
Now, is any of these disputed spots, or this is?
I can read the names, and can you do them all individually so everyone can vote by each name? Like each resolution would be each name?
Well,
Yes.
how many names do you have and how many spots do we have?
It's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's 6 expirations.
And how many names are you proposing?
They're all reappointments.
They're all reappointments.
Yeah, you want to do separate resolutions first?
Yes, so we,
But how many, 6 names for 6 spots? Which one?
yes, one of them is the health officer. Actually, no, it's 7 because of the police department. The police officer
Okay,
needs to be,
so then start that. We have 1 so far that was already done.
yes.
So what's your second name?
So that was Cassandra Reyes. You got that one?
Okay,
The second one is Victoria Fisher.
that was Cassandra Reyes' job.
No, she was not listed as the Board of Ed. She was just the chair here. There's still an open seat, so why couldn't she fill the open seat?
There was no open seat. Her
There
seat
is an
goes
open
to
seat.
Cassandra Reyes.
Joseph Spiegel was the general member and he stepped down, so there's still an open seat.
So that seat we would have to discuss. We were only reappointing tonight.
I think this is gonna maybe go to our next meeting because this is not the time or the place. And I'm not saying anything about any appointments. I don't know who the other names are.
I thought we were just reappointing.
Yeah.
She's being reappointed. She was chair. She was not, it doesn't say she was Board of Ed rep here.
I think there's some other positions as well. So could we have this on the next meeting? This is not really the part of the meeting. I don't,
I think they're just reappointments. I don't see what the problem is. If we're gonna appoint Cassandra without discussion, why can't we reappoint all of them?
I'm fine with it. It's just not the, did you want to have a comment on this or? Okay.
There's someone else that asked for an open seat. Also, I thought, I didn't know there was an open seat.
Can we have this done at the next meeting? I think that, if, I have no idea what's going on right now, but it's also not the right time. There's other positions, other personal matters.
The holdovers should be able to continue. Is that correct? Scott?
Mr. Attorney, could the holdovers? continue?
Holdovers can
She
continue
is
for
a
what
holdover.
meeting?
Okay, so
Oh,
that
the hold,
continue.
yeah.
Continue for
Fine.
that
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do, then we have time. Okay, let's go on. Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Wait, so then do we need to remove the Cassandra Reyes resolution?
No, because she's from the Board of Ed. She's new.
That was voted on already. Excellent.
That's
Deputy Mayor
fine.
Belcher.
Okay, yeah. Just wanted to make a couple of comments just in response to some of our residents' comments. First off, I'm really happy that we have gotten through and the transparency ordinance. One of the ways in which we have looked at this is from the standpoint of our technology. So using our technology, I've spoken with our town manager in terms of how we can use Zoom and features that are part of Zoom that potentially can help us. I.e., we have a real person that's taking minutes in meetings, or there's some transcription services that Zoom potentially has that we may want to get acquainted with. Also, someone mentioned about the planning board and some of the additional recommendations that the planning board had. Much of the discussion on the State Street properties had to do with community benefits. In community benefits, we spoke of things like how can we, the developer, look at parking to benefit not only the residents, but potentially even the greater community, a bicycle rack. Making part of our master plan is that we are wanting our community to be more walkable and bikeable. So making sure that that's a part of the site plan. A community room, use of the rooftop space for residents. So these are some of the things that we, and even charging stations, potentially that could be used by not only residents, but also the greater community. So I just want to mention that a lot of that discussion does happen in the planning board, on the planning board, and these recommendations are sent to us to address. To your point, Mr. Mayor, that yes, we would be looking at that as a part of the site plan. But these discussions are had when, on the planning board, and these recommendations are made. And lastly, I love the idea about the World Cup Task Force, a taste of Teaneck. We certainly want input from our residents and our businesses and ideas in which we can make this an exceptional event that's a win-win for our township. And lastly, I just want to mention, Mr. Mayor, that there will be an ADU workshop and it will be in the May timeframe. And that is just an informational workshop for residents that would like more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, Mr. Clerk, onto the consent agenda and the bill list in the amount of?
It's the consent agenda, but also including resolutions 111-2025 for Seth Dombeck, 1112 for our law firm that I know I'm just going to screw up pronouncing because everyone has called me out on it so much tonight, so I'm not going to try again. And resolution 113, bringing transparency to TNX Council subcommittee meetings, and resolution 114, which is for Cassandra Reyes to the TNX Municipal Alliance Against Substance Abuse. And yes, Mayor, like you said, the bill list in the amount of $9,241,160.37.
Was any council member like to pull anything?
Yes,
Deputy Mayor?
102 and 113.
102 and 113. Anybody else want to pull anything? Okay, do we need a motion on the polls?
102 and
102 and 113. So with that, I'll make the motion that we approve all resolutions listed with the exception of 102 and 113 and the bill list, and I have in the bill list. There's a second.
Second.
Okay.
That is our consent agenda, our bill list excluding resolutions 102 and 113. That was a motion from the mayor, second from Deputy Mayor Organ. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes on all, except for an abstention on 107 due to the incorrect Rossi and the bills list.
107 and the bill list.
That was an abstention, Councilwoman,
Yeah.
and abstaining on the whole bills list.
Yep.
You
And
got
yes
it.
on the rest.
Councilman Began.
Staying on the bill list, and yes to everything.
Councilwoman G.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Katz.
Yes, with an abstention on the bill list.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
All adopted.
Okay, Councilwoman and Deputy Mayor Organ 102.
So since I've been on council, the planning board has not had its own planner. And I know we're about to start budget discussions approaching double digits in an increase in the budget. And I understand the want for it. I know that we just hired a new planner that we're very happy with. And I am having a hard time with the planning board having their own planner, where our planner is now approving applications, sending them back to the planning board to then be reviewed by their planner for an additional charge, which hasn't been done before. And also wondering what happens if their planner disagrees with our planner now. And so I am having a hard time with this. I'm a no on this, but also there are other places where I would like to put this money if we have extra money.
I don't know, this is I guess more for Scott, so the planning board's a quasi judicial board, they have their own authority, right? I don't know.
Statutory board.
Yeah, it's a weird situation where under the municipal land use law, the land use boards are entitled to choose their own board professionals. But the council of the governing body is the body that has to make the provision for or make provision to pay those professionals. So you guys don't get a vote in it, but you're still required to pay it. We don't have to award a specific professional service contract to do that. Ultimately, when the bills come due, the council is going to be essentially obligated to pay them. But that doesn't mean you have to award a specific contract to the board professionals. Tell me if that makes sense or not.
So what happens if we don't vote for this?
If we don't vote for this, they won't have a contract, but when the bills are I guess when the bills are sent to us, we will be still obligated to pay for the portions of those bills that are to be paid by the township, which, because the new escrow ordinance that you guys adopted at the end of in December last year is not going to be the whole bill. It would just be anything related to stuff like master plan, consistency reviews, development or redevelopment agreements, things like that. That's the stuff that would come to you guys, and you would still the council is really obligated to pay them whether or not we have a contract.
So it's symbolic. If we vote no, they work. If we vote yes, they work.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, actually, we don't have to pay their bills because if I vote no, then the bill list doesn't pass because we only have 4 voting members on the bill list.
Right, only 3 members actually vote to pay the bills.
Yeah. This is
So I would abstain on that. I would vote no on that one, and then they wouldn't get paid either because 3 people abstain every week.
So I'll make a motion to approve 102 because we have to do it anyway.
we don't have to do it as a contract, but it's just a question of whether we don't have to do it as we don't have to approve a specific contract. We will have to approve the bills when they come to us. So
I don't know if Deputy Mayor Belcher has anything to say.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if we have to play, because they're a statutory board, we have to pay for a planner. So the fact that it's a separate planner, we still have to pay for a planner. So the whole idea is that if we use the same planner that the council's using, we would have a bill for that versus having the planning board, allowing the planning board to have its own planner, we have a bill to pay for that.
But
So
I'll say
the
yes,
point
but
that I'm
it should
making,
be-
the point that I'm making is that it's not unusual. I know it's something that we have not done, this body has not done, but correct me if I'm wrong, there are towns that where the township has a planner and the planning board has its own planner. That's something that you have seen, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it. It's certainly not common. In most places, at least in my experience, it's the same planner for both boards and for the township itself. Yes, we would still need to pay someone regardless. I would say it would likely be cheaper for the township if we had one planner, because then you don't have to pay, let's say, for example, we do any sort of zoning ordinance and we have the township planner that reviews it and helps us draft it or whatever. It then gets sent to the planning board. Then the planning board's planner is also going to have to look at it. And so we're essentially being billed double for the same sort of thing. So it will definitely be more, but to have 2 separate planners, but at some point or another, we would have to pay for it regardless. Tell me if that makes sense or if it's confusing.
So redevelopment plan for 140, so Topology reviewed it, then it went to the planning board and Phillips Price reviewed it. If Topology had reviewed it, they wouldn't have to review it again.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, so then we just paid double. We just paid a different planner to review the same exact thing. They wouldn't charge again. It had already been reviewed by a planner. Now it's going to a second planner. So there's absolutely a double charge.
I don't have a dog in this fight myself. I just feel as if that, just based upon the leadership of the planning board, let me back up by saying that we were in the middle of affordable housing.
Yeah.
And I think that we had a relationship with the existing planner and a relationship from the master plan. So I think that there was a little bit of a feeling that we knew this planner. We had done a tremendous amount of work with this planner.
Yeah.
So let's stick with this planner.
Right, and I get
Okay,
it.
yeah,
But now we have a relationship with Topology, who's done great by us with affordable. And I think, this is new for us. We've never had a different planner. And I'm sort of trying, now that we're entering budget season, I think this is not a good precedent. I think this is not a good idea. I'm not voting for it, and I'm not voting for the bills. That's just me. I think this is a mistake.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
But truth be told, that we have a better relationship with the existing planner who walked us through a master plan and walked us through affordable housing.
Yeah.
So, we, as a planning board, we had that relationship.
Yeah.
So I know, I mean, I don't think that this particular, the current planner has been to any planning board meeting.
Right, well, we only just hired them in January. It's only the beginning of March, and
Yeah.
there's a reason that the council chose to hire somebody new. Yes.
Wait, I just want to make a point. I'll just say publicly, I didn't vote for them at the planning board, but I don't have a problem with the planning board having its independence there. I think independence is an important thing.
I'll make a motion to approve 102 of 2025.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
I'm abstaining only because I didn't vote for them at the planning board.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. 113, transparency.
I just had a question because it mentions OPMA with the Personnel Subcommittee. And I understand not wanting the public to see interviews of people who are coming to the Personnel Subcommittee, but they're not yet members of subcommittees. They're just people who are being interviewed. And I would think that that's something that if we are voting for transparency, that people would want to see. They would want to see who we're appointing and why we're appointing them. And so I had asked the attorney if there's any reason why that particular subcommittee has to be closed. And he told me that there is absolutely no reason why personnel has to be closed. It can be as open as every subcommittee. So if we are voting for transparency and to keep every subcommittee open, then the interviews can be open as well. And I'm not in favor of this at all. I don't think that the subcommittee meetings should be open. I think, especially the ones that I sit on, I think it's going to hinder progress and work on them. But I don't think that it's okay to keep that one closed. I think that the lines in here that say that falls under OPMA is false, and that should be taken out if I don't think it's factual. So I think that should be taken out and the resolution reworked.
Anybody else have comments on? I mean, my comments are, sorry.
I just stand by personnel should be closed. I don't think people want to do their interviews. They share personal sensitive information at times. I don't think they should be done in public.
So my comments is that these are subcommittees. They're actually not meant to be open. And so it's something we've done. It's something every board, every committee, every town, every municipality, state agencies, certain things just aren't open. If you want to be open, pull a petition, run for council. But if we are going to open it, we open it to everyone. So now let's talk about personnel. Who do we want to appoint on our planning board? Let's meet with them. Let's talk with them. Well, isn't there anything more transparent than watching the entire community listen to what you, Mrs. Applicant, would like to see built, or you, Mr. Applicant, would like to see zone changes and variances? So if it's transparent, let's be transparent. If it's a closed committee, which thousands of committees exist in the state of New Jersey that way, then it's a closed committee. So I'm either all for open or all for close. And I understand your sensitivity to the individual's personal opinion, but if they can't put their personal opinion in front of everyone, then I don't think that should be appointed. That's my opinion. Is there a motion or not a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion from Councilwoman Goldberg, Councilman Pagan. This is resolution 113-2025. Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Sorry, can I just clarify that this version still maintains that personnel remains closed? Then yes.
Sorry about that. Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
No.
resolution adopted.
Mr. Clerk, I believe there is a new ordinance to read for the next coming meeting. Introduction, please.
Yes. We have ordinance number 17-2025, which is amending the township code to revise time-limited parking laws at 429 Cedar Lane. And that's all.
Okay, I guess introduction.
Second.
There was a footage question. You want to ask the attorney on the, there's a, I think a typo on how many feet.
I
on the
forgot.
western
That
portion.
looked like a lot of feet for one parking lot. I meant to ask you
Parking
before. I'm
spot.
so sorry.
I'm sorry, which?
The new introduction of the new ordinance, as it talks about west of Windsor Road, and then it goes into a, maybe a typo
What's the
on
page?
east of.
What's the page that you have?
It looks like 100-something feet. I meant to ask before. I hate to do this.
What page, do you have it on?
Well, just to counsel, this is about a 15-minute spot in
From,
front of.
this is
But
for,
yeah.
429, sorry to interrupt, guys, 429 Cedar Lane on the north side from a point 277 feet west of the westerly curb line of Windsor Road to a point 115 feet thereof.
Like I'm pushing this one to you because I think you added that language in there. You may have gotten that from the police, so.
Yeah, this was with data from the police that they measured out. It's for a particular parking space. So I think what we see is like feet coming from this way,
Okay.
feet coming from this way, and then we have our spot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just looked like 100-something feet. Looked like a really big parking spot.
Yeah, no, this is just a 15 minutes for particular storefront.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
Second.
ordinance.
Good question.
Seconded by,
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
yes.
Approved. We'll see it at our next meeting.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn. There you go. Thank you.
9:27 PM.